Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Fake Fed News for the May 7th, 2024 edition, your fake figure wrestling news. So, in talks right now, Luther Reigns, Billy Kidman, Paul London, Mike Knox, Rene Dupree, and Sean Stasiak have all expressed interest in getting updated to Ultimate Style. TNA and XWF partnership has disbanded after TNA pay-per-view had no XWF guys on the card, so that would be a separate entity going back to World Wrestling Council and their yearly Giant Show, excuse me. So this week we had a lot of shows going on, including 3 pay-per-views. But in Rising Up, Simon System defeats Imperium by pinfall. EC3 defeats Iron Sheik by pinfall. The main event, now that was of course a King of the Ring qualifier, so EC3 is now in the final 4. And Mankind defeats Gangrel by pinfall to retain the Hardcore Championship. On the main show, Triple H defeats Steve Blackman by pinfall to advance. Roddy Piper defeats Charlie Haas to advance by submission. And Jason Jordan defeats Bret Hart by pinfall to actually earn an Intercontinental title shot at the pay-per-view. The main event would see superstar Billy Graham win a 10-man battle royal for a shot at the WWF Heavyweight Championship. Shawn Michaels, Matt Hardy, LA Knight, Stone Cold, Gunther, Jeff Hardy, Owen Hart, Razor Ramon, and Val Venis were all part of that 10-man match. Mayhem took place this week on WCW, as Cedric Alexander and Drew Gulak defeated the Singh brothers by pinfall. Ricky Steamboat defeats Bill Goldberg by pinfall for the U.S. title in an upset. Macho Man Randy Savage defeats Drew McIntyre by pinfall. The Brainbusters would defeat Nasty Boys by pinfall. And William Regal defeats the Great Muta by pinfall to win the TV title. Dolph Ziggler actually would defeat Sean O'Haire in the main event by pinfall to win the WCW Championship. And on Level Up, Demolition defeated Street Profits. And Brian Pillman defeated George Steele to win the Hardcore Championship. ECW held its first pay-per-view as well as Hardcore Heaven, which saw Randy Orton defeat Scott Steiner by pinfall for the ECW TV title. He's the first champion. Adam Cole and Roderick Strong defeats Hillbilly Jim and Bruno Sammartino by pinfall. Finn Balor defeats Shinsuke Nakamura by pinfall, both making their debut. Bobby Fish and Kyle O'Reilly defeats Xavier Woods and Kofi by pinfall to win the ECW tag titles. Paul Burchill will defeat Test by pinfall, and Chris Jericho is your first ever ECW World Champion after defeating Edge by pinfall. Over to AEW this week as The Acclaim defeats the Young Bucks now a fourth time. Wheeler Yuta defeats Sammy Guevara. Wardlow would defeat Miro by pinfall. Lucha Bros would defeat Jurassic Express in an upset. And Malachi Black versus Samoa Joe ends in a double DQ. NXT also had a show this week as Rick Steiner defeats Karrion Kross by pinfall. R-Truth will defeat Kevin Owens by pinfall. And Omos defeats Bronson Reed by pinfall. Nothing on or Ring of Honor. However, IWGP held its pay-per-view this week as Spring Stampede took place. This would see Lance Storm defeat Bill DeMott to win back his Rev Pro British Heavyweight Championship. Wrath would defeat Mike Awesome by pinfall. Luther Reigns defeats Rene Dupree by pinfall to retain his IWGP US title. Jerry Lynn defeated Steve Corino. Mike Knox, Scotty Riggs versus Billy Kim and Paul London ended a double countout, so the titles stay on Mike Knox and Scotty Riggs. And Carlito, Shannon Moore, Sean Stasiak, Canyon, and Al Snow defeated Tony Mamaluke, Vito, Cruz del Toro, Joaquin Wilde, and Psychosis by pinfall in a 10-man tag. The main event would see Mark Jindrak regain the IWGP World title by beating Snitsky by pinfall. Impact held a show this week as well as Sin Cara defeats Enzo Amore. Mark Henry continues and defeats Tucker by pinfall. And the main event, Tensai would defeat David Hart Smith by pinfall. No shows this week. However, TNA held a pay-per-view this week as Destination X. This is the result that would lead to the XWF leaving, but Hernandez defeated Manic by pinfall. Jay Lethal defeated Christopher Daniels by pinfall to become the new X Division champion of TNA. Crimson and Matt Morgan defeated Motor City Machine Guns by pinfall to win the TNA tag titles. Abyss defeats Desmond Wolfe by pinfall to win the TNA TV title, or Global, excuse me. And the main event would see D'Angelo Dinero defeat Magnus by pinfall to win the TNA World Championship. Nothing for the NWA, nor AAA this week, or ROH, or World Wrestling Council, or GCW. Join us next week as we see the aftermath of the pay-per-views, including the King of the Ring pay-per-view coming up for the WWE as well as a name change in TNA, as they will now be known as XTNA, as the new branding is continuing. Till next time.